This is Women of Grace Live, discussing issues important to your life and faith, spiritual insight, practical wisdom. Join us as we transform the world one woman at a time. Women of Grace, for such a time as this. Now, here's your host, Johnnette Benkovic.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Women of Grace Live. I'm Johnnette Benkovic, delighted to be with you today. I certainly am. God has great things in mind for us each and every day of our lives, and today, as we come together for holy conversation, we'll have an opportunity to explore what that might be for you. We always invite you to join us live here on Women of Grace Live, where we love having that holy conversation with you. Let me give you the number that you can use if you're in North America, and by the way, it happens to be toll-free, 833-288 EWTN. That's 833-288-3986. We've got the fabulous, the incomparable Matt Gabensky answering our phones today. Your call screener extraordinaire. Please do give him a howdy hey when you call in. It puts a big old smile on his face, and he has a big old smile to give. So let's make sure he smiles broadly by keeping him abundantly busy through the time that we are together today. Always do invite you to call early, because if you jam up at the end, I can only get to so many, and then we run out of time, and oh dear, I feel really bad about it. And I don't like to leave you hanging like that. So we certainly do invite you to start early, call in early. If you were hanging on the end yesterday, call in now. You'll get to the front of the line very quickly. Another way to get to the front of the line very quickly is to call in from someplace outside of North America. And we certainly do welcome you to do that. Your number is country code 1-205-271-2986. That's country code 1-205-271-2986. It is yet one more way in which you can join us live here on Women of Grace Live. Oh, by the way, did you know that we're with you via social media too? Social media is available for you out there at EWTN Radio's YouTube channel and Facebook page. Why not go on out there? You can see me waving to you if you're out there already. I love to see you there, certainly do. And you can give us your questions, your comments, your insights, your inspirations, and your words of encouragement right there on that social media site. There's that little chat feature. Be sure to put your name in there, and that'll come up automatically, I'm thinking. And also where you're calling from. If you know the station you're listening to or the means by which you are listening to us today, we certainly do invite you to give them a little credit, so we can give them a little credit right here. So please put that in, and we'll be eager to get to you. One yet more way in which you can join us is via texting EWTN. You can text EWTN to 55000. Text EWTN to 55000. Wait for a response. When you get that response, put your name in there and also the way in which you're with us, and make a pithy comment, please. Just a little wee one, because you know how it is with text messaging. Things can get a little messed up there. So be sure to make it pithy, and it comes up on the board here. Jeff Burson, our producer, social media maven, handles all of that for us and makes it oh so easy for me to be able to respond to you, and it makes me very, very glad. Well, I just want to mention something. You know, those of you that were with us yesterday may recall the final call of the day. It was from Matt. And, you know, this fellow was in turmoil a little bit, and he was finally getting to the place where he could no longer tolerate what had been going on in the family into which he married several years ago. And if you recall, the situation was such that that particular family was active in Catholic apostolate work, ministers at their church, Catholic Church, by the way. And in addition to all of that, they happened to be pro-abortion, virulently pro-abortion, much to his displeasure. And he said he had been listening to Catholic radio for a while. He was becoming better formed in his faith. He had been putting up with this for years and no longer could put up with it. And he wanted to know, basically, would he be rocking the boat if he was to say anything? He said he's been pulling away from family affairs because it seems to turn to this conversation. And he is the odd man out. And he basically gets a little bit mocked and ridiculed and reviled for holding fast to the teachings of the church. And what did I think about all of that? Well, if you were listening, you'll recall that I said, gee, I just don't think you can be pro-abortion and really be Catholic, because you're going against what sacred scripture teaches. You're going against the will of God. You're going against the mind and the heart of the Father. You're going against natural law. Well, I didn't get into all of that, but I'm getting into it right now. And that, you're going against the teachings of the church. So, to hold to a strict definition of who a Catholic is one who follows the teachings of Jesus Christ given to us through sacred scripture and the teachings of the church that he founded. The Holy Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Church, right? And so that's the way in which we identify ourselves, and that is the substance of our identification. And this family just wasn't doing that. And I found it a bit confounding and a bit disheartening that this family was actively engaged in parish life, and apparently their views were well known. That seems to me something that really needs some pastoral counseling and somebody to sit down and have a good come to Jesus moment with those individuals. I said, as far as holding back on what you're saying, you have an obligation to speak the truth. And we all have an obligation to speak the truth. Whether it's convenient for us or inconvenient for us is not the case. We cannot hold back the truth in conversations where falsehood and abomination is being spoken. Maybe God has us in that moment and with that family and in that particular situation for a good reason. And it's so that the truth might be proclaimed. And as I'm saying that right now, I'm thinking about, Mother Angelica and how it was that she said that if nobody ever listened to the shortwave signal that she was sending out from Alabama into the universe, it wouldn't really matter, because God's word does not return to him void. And so therefore, even shooting that word out into the universe as she was doing was going to affect a great good. It was going to play a part in that primordial battle of good against evil. Well, if nobody ever agrees with you when you speak the truth, it really doesn't matter. Because into that moment, into that situation, into that atmosphere, into the universe that you find yourself in that instance, truth is being spoken, and truth never returns to God void. It doesn't. It can't. Because truth bears life. God is life. Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. He is the second person of the Blessed Trinity enfleshed. Therefore, that word cannot return to God void. So whether you change a heart or a mind in that moment really doesn't matter, because you're speaking truth into that moment, and truth will always triumph, right? And so we encouraged him in that way. And today we're going to be talking with a wonderful woman. She's a champion of mine, really and truly. I think she's a giant in the church today, and she's taken it on the chin in more than one instance, because she will speak truth. She will stand for truth, whether it is convenient or inconvenient. And the word that she speaks does not return to God void, but returns to him heavy laden with fruit. And she inspires me, and I know that she will inspire you. Her name is Dr. Monica Miller. She is an associate professor of religion and studies and director of the Women, Gender, and Sexuality Studies program at Lehigh University. And she does an absolutely remarkable job for us in all kinds of ways. She is on our board of directors for Women of Grace. She teaches in our Benedicta Leadership Institute for Women. She has really impacted my life personally in ways too lengthy to even begin to discuss with you. She has given, I think, us great opportunity in helping us to understand the great call and gift of woman and woman's true power and true authority. She has written numbers of books about that, Sexuality and Authority in the Catholic Church being one of them, and Women's Authority in the Catholic Church, another one. They're both available for you at EWTN's Religious Catalog. And there's a big event coming up this weekend, and I'm going to encourage you to participate in it, and Dr. Miller is going to tell us all about it when we return from our break. Let me give you that number again. If you are in North America, it's toll-free at 833-288 EWTN. That's 833-288-3986. This is the topic for the day, but we'll take any questions that you might have. But we're going to try to stay on this topic because this is one of the quintessential topics of our day and time, one of the most important, and one that we have all been called to join together and work hard to resolve. 833-288-EWTN. That's 833-288-3986. We're going to be right back, inviting you to stay with us. This is Women of Grace Live. I'm Johnnette Benkovic. April 24th, Feast of St. Fidelis, Priest and Martyr. From a eulogy for St. Fidelis. In addition to this charity, he was faithful in truth as well as in name. His zeal for defending the Catholic faith was unsurpassed, and he preached it tirelessly. Let us reflect. We need more of St. Fidelis in our midst today. Given the circumstances of my life, how can I respond to this need? Am I willing to exhibit zeal for defending the Catholic faith and preaching it tirelessly?
If you'd like to receive a daily Grace Line by email, go to womenofgrace.com and click on the word Grace Line. Then click on the box Receive Grace Lines. That's womenofgrace.com.
Hello, everyone. I'm Johnnette Benkovic, inviting you to join me and women from around the country for a weekend of formation, fellowship, and fun at our annual Women of Grace retreat at the breathtaking Malvern Retreat House during the weekend of July 13th through 15th. Our theme is Embracing the Holy Duet, Mary and the Holy Spirit, and features fabulous speakers: Kathleen Beckman, Father Philip Scott, Jack Williams, Thomas K. Sullivan, and yours truly. The retreat includes Mass, adoration, confession, talks, reflection time, a healing service, and some special surprises. It is preceded by the Benedictine Leadership Enrichment Seminar entitled Women, God's Special Weapon Against Evil, with Kathleen Beckman, Susan Brinkman, and Father Philip. We are thrilled to offer you our very first Young Women of Grace one-day retreat on Saturday, July 14th. See you there. Visit womenofgrace.com for details or call 800-558-5452.
Encouraging women in their gift of authentic femininity. Here's more Women of Grace with Johnnette Benkovic.
Welcome back, friends. You are listening to Women of Grace Live. I am Johnnette Benkovic. We're happy to be with you, as I was telling you at the beginning of the program here. Do want to give you the way in which you can reach us. We're toll-free for you right here in North America. Call us at 833-288-EWTN. That's 833-288-3986. We're always eager to hear from you. You can get out there to social media, too, and the social media sites for you to go to our EWTN Radio's YouTube channel and Facebook page. We can receive your comments there too, and they come up magically on my board through the hands of the great Jeff Burson. So we invite you to get on out there and take a look at all of that. Got a correction for you. Oh my goodness sakes, here we are. Dr. Monica Miller is the director of Citizens for a Pro-Life Society and associate professor of theology at Madonna University in Michigan. Wake up, Johnnette Benkovic. She holds a degree in theater arts from Southern Illinois University and graduate degrees in theology from Loyola University and Marquette University. She's the author of numbers of books. I was telling you about some of those. Here is one for you to read. I mean, I tell you, this is like a suspense thriller to read. Abandoned, the untold story of the abortion wars. Absolutely marvelous. Mentioned to you about the authority of women in the Catholic Church and sexuality and authority in the Catholic Church. But there's all kinds of other things for you to get to know about Dr. Monica Miller and to read that she has written. So we invite you to get out there to EWTN's Religious Catalog, find out all about it. Dr. Monica Miller, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Yeah, so good to be with you, Johnnette. Hope you're doing well.
Well, thank you. I am. It's been some time since I saw you last. I think it was July when I was in attendance at the Benedictine Leadership Institute for Women. And once again, a beautiful opportunity for women to come to know who they are. And thank you so much for participating in all of that, Monica. I so appreciate it.
Absolutely. My
it's
privilege.
Wonderful. So you got something big coming up. It's Protest Planned Parenthood, which is a coalition of state and national pro-life groups calling for public protest of the nation's largest abortion chain, Planned Parenthood. Something's happening on Saturday, the 28th of April. Tell us about it.
Yeah, and thank you for the opportunity to be able to let people know. Actually, this is our fourth year in doing what we've organized as a national protest of Planned Parenthood. We call it Protest PEP. And we will be having the national demonstrations this Saturday all over, literally all over the United States. There's almost 200 protests from which people can choose to participate, and I really hope that people will literally get out on the street and be a witness to the sanctity of life this Saturday on the 28th. Now, people want to find out, where is there going to be a demonstration in my, neck of the woods? Very simple. You just got to go to the website, which is Protest PP. Those are initials, right? ProtestPP.com. And then you just click on the tab at the top of the home page, Locations. Everything, Johnnette, is alphabetized by state, so it's very, very easy. You just scroll down to your state and find where is one of these demonstrations going to be taking place. So, for example, I live in Michigan, so you want to find out where in Michigan one of these demonstrations is going to be happening. You scroll down to Michigan, and everything is cataloged, and you will have the name of the clinic, the Planned Parenthood clinic, the address of the clinic, the time when the demonstration is going to be occurring, and even an opportunity to email the local leader if you have a question. So I'm hoping that we'll see thousands of people out this weekend making a public statement that we need to make Planned Parenthood a thing of the past.
That's right.
This organization needs to be not only defunded, it needs to be dismantled. And there's the other thing that people need to realize. Planned Parenthood right now, Congress has not defunded this abortion giant. They still are receiving, as I speak, nearly $500 million in United States taxpayer money. And this is an organization that does over 300,000. That's not a made-up figure. Over 300,000 abortions every year. In fact, Planned Parenthood, it's about 27%, nearly 1/3 of all of the abortions, Johnnette, that are performed, the killing of the unborn, are coming out of a Planned Parenthood abortion clinic. And that's a lot of killing. And we need to stop it. We need to make a big deal about that. We need to say no more. That's and, right. Abortion, the injustice of abortion, is not going to be overcome by thinking pro-life thoughts. Abortion is going to be overcome by doing pro-life action. And getting out on the street and participating in an hour-and-a-half demonstration is, honestly, the easiest thing I'll ever do, just about the easiest thing I'll ever do as a pro-lifer. You'll be out there with other people. Hopefully the weather will be good, but rain or shine, you got to get out there. You make your own signs if you want. A lot of signs are going to be provided. These are signs that are professionally made. And just stand there, for an hour and a half. You can be praying while you're doing that. The Planned Parenthood abortion centers are open. Some of them are going to be open on Saturday. Some of them are actually killing unborn children on Saturday. Then you may be the one, by your presence, to turn a woman away from killing her baby. And that's not going to happen unless we have that public witness. So I'm really hoping if people have never participated in a pro-life demonstration, you have to do at least one of them before you die, okay? So don't stay home. Get out. Bring your kids. These are family-friendly demonstrations, First Amendment rights, free speech. That's all we're doing. And make an issue out of the killing of unborn children, that we need to stop it, we need to protest it, and be a witness to the sanctity of life.
Yeah. Well, you have done many protests, many kinds of public witnesses, Monica, for the cause of the unborn. And this is one of the reasons why you're my champion. And I firmly believe, too, that one of the things that we have to do is to continue to educate women. And that's what we try to do through the Apostolate of Women of Grace and through the Benedictine Leadership Institute. The hope is that eventually, whether the law ever stays on the books or not, there will be nobody desiring an abortion, and that law will be obsolete. It would be lovely to remove that law. But if we can't, and we know there are some very, outdated laws that are on the books that pertain to a particular period of time that have fallen by the wayside because, you know, the culture has moved on from that. We want to see the culture moved on. We want to build a civilization of love, and not in the hippie sense of love, but a civilization that is the love of God. And this is what we're about here. And you know, when I said earlier on that your history is deep in the pro-life movement and in pro-life activism, you tell all about it in your marvelous book, Abandoned: The Untold Story of the Abortion Wars. And, you know, you have done heroic things. You know, I don't know, friends, if you've read that book. If you haven't read it, you got to read it. As I say, it reads like a suspense novel. I
appreciate that. I know it's promoted on the EWTN catalog.
Oh, it is.
With a couple of my other books. People have told me that Abandoned: The Untold Story of the Abortion Wars has changed their lives.
I have to believe that to be true.
Yeah.
I can see why. It's compelling.
I have to say it's not a walk in the park. It's just down deep into the trenches, and I expose the reality and the injustice of abortion very visibly. Very dramatically, and, you know, the book focuses on basically three phases or elements of the abortion wars, and one of them is sidewalk counseling and the episodes that we have had in turning women away from killing their unborn children. Then the rescues that we did that involved us getting arrested and the jail terms that we served. And then the actual discovery of the victims of abortion themselves in the trash dumpsters that are behind abortion clinics. The whole episode that we have with the Vital Med pathology lab that was stockpiling the victims of abortion. People will not believe it. They honestly would not believe it. We uncover the dark secrets that would never have been revealed, you know, had we just not had the opportunity that God put in our laps to embrace and to love and to bury the victims of abortion. So a lot of the book will be taking the reader into those dark places, the burials that we organized for the victims of abortion. So yeah, I hope people will get the book, and I hope that it will move hearts and help people to see that we do have to do something about abortion. It's one thing to have a pro-life sentiment and to be faithful to the teachings of our church, but this is a social justice cause, and that 3,000 victims, human beings, are in our own country, Johnnette, every day are put to death with the sanction of law. This is a travesty, and we cannot just sit back and allow it to happen without protesting it and getting involved in whatever way people want to get involved. There's so many levels of pro-life work out there from which to choose. I mean, I'm in the activist end of the movement, but there's other things that people can be doing. So anyway, I hope that people will get the book. But, you know, going back to Planned Parenthood, Johnnette, and talking about the role and the dignity of women, I mean, Planned Parenthood is, as much as people like Cecile Richards, who's now, she retired as president of Planned Parenthood very recently, and I don't think her successor has been named yet, but and she hasn't quite formally left the office, but she is going to be retiring. You know, they want to make it sound as if Planned Parenthood is all pro-woman, right? And we're here to advocate for the rights of women, and in particular their right to control their own body and all that sort of nonsense. You know, and then they try to make a big deal out of their clinics are providing health care to low-income women and so on and so forth. We know very well that all of their services have declined by about 15% within the last couple of years. They've got their satellite clinics that are folding up and closing all over the place. We just had one close this week here in Michigan, in Livonia, Michigan. That place shut down.
Did it really? Good.
Yeah, so we're very happy about that. But this is a place where, I say, look, even if Planned Parenthood wasn't involved in the killing of over 300,000 unborn children every year, Johnnette, this is an organization that would still need to be opposed.
Right.
Why? Because their sexual ethic is so corrupted, it leads to the doorway, to the threshold of the abortion clinics.
Well,
they
sure,
know it more than anybody
you create
else.
Monica,
Yeah,
marketing, create a market.
Right. Yeah, you created the market, a sexual ethic in which women, supposedly now they're in control of their sexual decisions. With the same kind of so-called liberty that men have, right? Men can have sex and walk away. Well, with the advent of the birth control pill and all the contraceptive hormonal drugs that people, ingesting, how is that consistent with the dignity of women? Right? when you're actually doing something to alter the beauty and the nature of your God-given body with all of this junk that you're ingesting,
poison
of your own self,
mm-hmm.
and then now you've rendered yourself sterile, and so now men can see you as an object, something only that you can be used now strictly for male sexual pleasure. How is that ultimately liberation? It's not. It's a lie.
It's enslavement.
Yes, it is. It really is. It's a lie. It's completely anti-woman. It's anti-marriage. It's anti-life. And so, as I said, even if Planned Parenthood was not involved with the killing of unborn children, the corrupted sexual ethic would still need to be opposed. And I argue it's ultimately an ethic that is harmful to the nature of women, and then harmful ultimately to the nature of male and female sexuality. And so we're looking at the perversion of culture itself as a consequence of all of this.
Yeah. Well, you're talking here about sexual ethic, and the church has much to say on this. And the church has given us good guidance through any number of means, inclusive of the beautiful apostolic letters and encyclicals that we have that discuss these topics and discuss the reality of who man is and who woman is, and what God's desire is for man and woman as they come together in the conjugal act. And we are so privileged and blessed because we have opportunity to learn the faith right here on EWTN Radio. So I do want to remind you about Called to Communion with Dr. David Anders every weekday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. It's Called to Communion with Dr. David Anders. He helps you to know the church, to know her teachings, to have an understanding and a logical development of the faith within your own life. So we certainly do invite you to listen to Called to Communion with Dr. David Anders, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on EWTN Radio. This was the argument, if you will, that I was encouraging Matt to have, and I'm not talking about yelling and screaming. I'm talking about a logical argument of discussion with his family, was that when you're talking about, you have a right to your body, you don't, because your body was given to you by God. You have a stewardship responsibility for your body to do the best for it. And you certainly don't have a right to kill a child who isn't your body at all, growing within your womb. And these are the fallacies that we have to face each and every day. We're going to go to the phone lines when we come back. More with our guest, Dr. Monica Miller, 833-288 EWTN. That's 833-288-3986. Stay tuned.
Bishop Robert Barron.
Just as Fulton Sheen used radio and TV in the last century, we need to continue to use Catholic radio to announce the Catholic faith in the public forum.
The leading Catholic voices are on EWTN Radio.
Hi, I'm Doug Keck, and this is an EWTN bookmark brief. I'm speaking here with Obiang Uju Ikocha, author of Target Africa, Ideological Neocolonialism in the 21st Century, and it's published by our friends at Ignatius Press. Uju, tell us, what is this book about, and why is it of interest for Catholics?
It is about the Western countries, Western entities, Western foundations even coming to African countries, and they are coming, for something that looks good. They're coming to give aid, they're coming with help, coming with gifts. But then when you look closer, you see that there are gifts with strings attached. There are issues like abortion, contraception, population control, what happens with the youth and human sexuality, human sexual identity, all these things that are being talked about now, which is threatening now to erode our own cultural views and values.
The author is Obiang Uju Ikocha, and look for the book at EWTN's religious catalog, EWTNRC.com. Thanks for stopping by.
Carry EWTN with you everywhere. You can enjoy EWTN TV and radio live streams, many of the popular TV and radio shows on demand, prayers and devotionals, and keep up on the latest Catholic news. For more, visit EWTNapps.com.
The wisdom of Mother Angelica.
I want you to have such confidence in the Lord that you'll find such hope and see the beauty of the Lord, the majesty of God. What did our Lord say, huh? If your sins are as scarlet, oh, what? What's going to happen? They shall be made white as snow.
EWTN. Live truth. Live Catholic.
The Bee Gees once sang, "How Deep Is Your Love?"
We want to know, how deep is your faith?
Coming up today
on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Now back to Women of Grace.
Transforming the world one woman at a time. Let's return to Women of Grace with Johnnette Benkovic.
Welcome back, friends. We are visiting with Dr. Monica Miller today, and she's sharing with us about a big opportunity for you happening this Saturday, April the 28th, in cities across this nation. It is a protest against Planned Parenthood. She is inviting you to come out to face the challenge that we have in our day and time to bring an end to abortion, primarily by targeting one means by which 300,000 abortions a year can be acquired and have been acquired, and that is through Planned Parenthood. We were talking about this whole call that we have, and you were talking about the fact that it's one thing to have a pro-life sentiment, Monica, but it's a whole nother thing to act upon that sentiment. But that's what the sentiment is meant to do. It's meant to be a motivator to put us into action. And I was thinking about those words that we read in St. James' epistle, where he says, if all you do is hear the word and you do not act upon it, you are deceiving yourself. And one of the tricks, I think, of the enemy is to get us so self-satisfied with the good feeling that we have because we have a pro-life sentiment that we ultimately stop there. It satisfies us. It satisfies our nature on some level. And it really, in a certain way, saps us of the energy to move forward into the mission that is supposed to provoke within us. So just a word to all of you, and a word to me too. If in fact you get a certain kind of self-satisfaction because you're pro-life and you talk about it to the extent that you can, and you're willing to do this, that's great. That's lovely. But the fact of the matter is, we have to take it a step further. We have to move forward. We have to put feet to what that sentiment is, and we've got to move into action for it. So before you leave us, because I know you have to do that, why don't you share with us once again where it is that people can get this information about what's happening April the 28th, why it's important to all of us, and then we can bid you adieu and you can get about your day.
All right. Thank you so much, Johnnette. Yeah, okay. Let me one more time. I just want to encourage everyone who's listening to this wonderful radio show with Johnnette, get out. Go to one of these protests this Saturday. An hour and a half of your time standing outside of one of these Planned Parenthood clinics. You're going to be with other people who are like-minded with you. And, we can't live our lives anymore as if the world was a normal place and that you can live a normal life. You cannot live a normal life anymore when 3,000 innocent human beings are wiped off the face of the earth with the sanction of law. A whole people class that are named non-persons. There are a lot of other injustices. There are a lot of other very, 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 very worthy causes. So let me lay this on your heart. There is only one people group in the United States right now that are actually named to be non-persons under the law, whose right to life is actually stripped from them, and who, on the mere whim of another person, can have their lives exterminated. We need to be out there this Saturday. Grab your friends. If you've got teenage kids, get them out there with you and be a light in the darkness. All you got to do is go to protestpp.com. So that's the website, protestpp, those are the initials, of course, for Planned Parenthood.com. Click on locations, the locations tab, and scroll down to your state and see if there's one of these protests that's going to be happening within your vicinity. So I'm going to be out there in Ferndale, Michigan, on Woodward Avenue. That's where I'm going to be at 10 o'clock in the morning. So I'm going to be there, and I hope a whole lot of other people will join in and be a part of the Protest PP this weekend. Thank you so much, Johnnette.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Miller, for all that you do. Thank you for being a friend of Women of Grace, and I hope to talk with you in the very near future.
Absolutely. God bless you.
God bless you, too. You know, friends, here's the thing of it. You know, one of the beautiful byproducts that happens from these kinds of initiatives and these kinds of efforts is the fact that you find out that you're not alone. And, you know, when Matt hung up yesterday, one of the things that he left us with, the parting part of his closing comments, was simply that, you know, well, thank you, because I was beginning to think I was the only one who felt this way. I was beginning to think that, you know, I there was something the matter with me for feeling this way. Well, one of the beautiful byproducts when you get out there and you participate in these kinds of events is that you find out you're not alone, that there's a lot of people who feel exactly like you feel. And you know what that does for you? It edifies you. It buoys you up. It gives you a type of new energy, if you will, for the cause that God has entrusted to you. You have a pro-life sentiment because God's entrusted a cause to you. So what are you doing to promote that cause? What are you doing to safeguard that which has been entrusted to you? How are you feeding it? How are you nourishing it? All of these things absolutely essential when God is prompting you through the sentiments that he raises up in you for a good work. So just some thoughts for you to think about today. We're going to get to our phone lines right away. I want to give you some numbers, 833-288 EWTN. That's 833-288-3986. You're listening to Women of Grace Live. I'm Johnnette Benkovic, and we are happy as clams to be with you today. And I'm happy as a clam to welcome Ann to our program. She's in New Jersey, listening to us via domestic church media. Good morning, Ann. How are you?
Good morning, Johnnette. This is Pilgrimage Ann. I forgot to tell Matt to say that.
I knew who it was, Ann.
Oh, you did? Yay.
I knew by the note I got here. I said, oh, this is our Ann.
Oh, good. Yes. I was just listening to Dr. Miller speak, and I called with a specific purpose, which I do want to share, but it just gave me so much more things flowing through my head. But the reason for calling was because I just last night finished the online study, the Women of Grace online study.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It really was. It was really, really wonderful. And one of the things that struck me about Chapter 8, the last chapter, was how tied into what I learned when I went out to the Benedicta Leadership course last year, and I was in Dr. Miller's class. So, I mean, it was all tied together. And as I'm listening to you speak about, all these things we have to do, to fight abortion and be pro-life, it's all tied in together with what our mission is as women that That's you right. put together so beautifully in your study. It's just wonderful. And then Dr. Miller, just takes it to another level of understanding and another layer into the whole depth of the Catholic Church and the history of all of it. And I mean, it really just ties all together. And then another thing that I thought of was I did get Dr. Miller's book Abandoned when I was out there, and I was reading it, and I realized I got halfway through, and I stopped. And the reason I stopped is because I am a post-abortive woman, and with 2 abortions in my past, and that is something that it's still not easy for me. But when it got to the part, she really was describing what they were finding in the dumpsters when they would go out and to the abortion clinics and tell what they were pulling out of the garbage. And they were children, they were babies, and it was and saying how old they were, because of course at the time I was, it was in the early 80s, and what they said was it was just it's just a ball of cells, it's just a mass of cells, it's not a body. But then to hear how Dr. Miller described what she was really finding at the same age that I know my children would have been when I aborted them, and it was a lot. So I had to put it down and put it to the side. And then one more thing was when she said, for once in your life, go to one pro-life event in your life. And I did go to the March for Life for the first time, and it was actually the same exact thing that moved me again, was seeing the posters of the children. And I just, it was a lot. But, I mean, it's the truth of what abortion is, and it's such a crime, and it's such just so indignant for these children that, through no fault of their own, have been created. And it's such as really is. I just so admire Dr. Miller for her willingness and her dedication to the cause. And it was quite something to be able to hear her talk and hear that passion. I also, while I was at the Benedicta Leadership, had the opportunity to go to an abortion clinic with Dr. Miller and a couple of the other women and protest outside. And I watched Dr. Miller in action and, going up and just, meeting with these people that were on their way into the abortion clinic. It was really so encouraging and moving, and it was really something to behold. It was something to be a part of. And again, as a post-abortive woman, it might have struck me a little differently than the other woman, but I was still it was very humbling to be part of it. So.
Yeah. I was thinking about something when you were talking there, Ann, and there's this mystical reality of suffering, and there's this mystical reality of what happens when sin is left at the foot of the cross, because God takes all of that and he works miracles out of it. And we don't know how that can be, but God does tell us through Paul in Romans 8, verse 28, that he works all things to the good. And sin is not exempted from that. He does work great good out of sin, and Paul himself could make that statement. And he could make it experientially, because he was one who persecuted Christians and stood there, as Stephen, the first martyr, was being pelted by rocks and stones that brought about his death. He participated in all of that. So, he knew the depths, but he also knew what God can do when we lay these things at the foot of the cross. And there is a type of spiritual reality that I want to call energy, but I really hate to use that word because it gets so confused with the New Age understanding. But there is let's use this word because I think it's appropriate. There is a type of zeal that can come from this, and so as painful as it is, and I well understand why you had to put that book down. I am not a post-abortive woman, but having lost a child, there are certain things I can handle. And there are certain things at this point in time that I still can't really handle well, like if I'm watching a movie and it has scenes in it where people are being killed in battle and risking their lives and things like this. Simon didn't die on the field of battle, but he did die from, I believe, post-traumatic stress disorder was underlying his situation when he came home. But all of that being said, it's difficult for me, so I can understand how that's very difficult for you. But nonetheless, I know you, and I know the beauty of you, and I know the way that God's worked in your life. And I've read your book, and I'm hoping to do a program with you. If everything works out fine, I'll have you on Women of Grace Television, because it's just an incredible story of hope and an incredible story of a life being rebuilt, and it's an incredible story of enduring suffering. And that being said, God clearly has a mission for each one of us, and he's got a mission for you, and you're in the process of not just moving into that mission, but and embracing it and moving forward in it. And It just delights me. It just totally delights me. That's all I can say.
I know it as I was reading throughout the whole study, but especially in chapter 8 this past week. I was so excited, and I love watching the video when you jump up and down, 'cause I was like, I'm going,
it's a trademark.
I get it.
I can't help myself. I'm not even aware of the jumping. I just hear about it and see it afterwards. It's like, oh, geez, there I was jumping up and down again, throwing my leg up.
Yeah.
All of this. But and I've got to let you go because I've got other callers here too. But tomorrow we're going to have Adora, and you know Adora, Ann. And friends, if you don't know Adora, you're going to want to get to know her. She's going to be on the program with us talking about the Benedictine Leadership Institute for Women and all that God's doing in it and through it and how you can become a part of it. And I think that this bears stating, when this whole notion of women of grace was entrusted to me by the Holy Spirit, God showed me women of grace. And what he showed me in a mental image was a funnel like you use in a kitchen. And I said, Lord, what is this funnel and what does this have to do? And he said, well, the top of the funnel, the broad part of that funnel is where women will come in. They'll come in through conferences, retreats, these opportunities. They'll come in and then they'll come through that narrow channel of the funnel, right? And they'll come through that narrow channel. And he says that will be continuing education. That will be a study that you will write, and that will be continuing education for them following. And then and then what happens? It just like with a funnel, you pour something in at the top, it goes through the neck of it, the channel of it, and it spills out right where you want it to go. And he says, and the women will come out the other end, and they will permeate the world, and they will transform it. So that's the image. And so the Benedictine Leadership Institute for Women, along with the study like you're talking about, which people can do in their homes or in their parish communities or online, as you've done it, Ann. Betsy Sawyer led that study online, and she's a gem. All of these things that were taking place and are happening right now is the fulfillment of that vision that God entrusted to me. And you're a prime example of that because you've taken advantage of all of it, sweet woman. Always good to talk with you. Sure.
Can I just say one more thing?
Yeah.
To go along with the Benedictine leadership. One of the women in the study asked Betsy about it, and she was kind of like hesitant because she wasn't sure if it was right. And let me be a witness to say you don't really have to have anything in your background or anything
That's right.
Visible ahead of you to just go and take and learn what is being offered at the Benedictine leadership.
That's exactly right. And I'm so glad that you mentioned that because it's positively true. So we invite you, friends, to explore it. Go out there to womenofgrace.com. It'll lead you right to the Benedictine Leadership Institute. It is a certification program as well as a degree program that we are partnering with Holy Apostles College and Seminary to effect in our day and time, and we're very, very excited about it. So get out there, find out more. I'll be in touch with you, Ann, and God bless you, sweetie.
Thank you so much.
God bless. Bye-bye now. And we want to get to Sarah. Sarah is with us, and she's with us via Sirius 130. Indianapolis, Indiana is where she's calling from today. How are you, Sarah?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I am just dandy. Thank you for asking.
Thanks for having me. So I have been very passionate about the pro-life movement and have been to the March for Life. And so I'm a nurse. And when I actually got offered a position to work at a pro-life pregnancy center. And so I quit my job as a nurse, and I was really excited to do this because my heart has always been into helping women in this area and counseling and
beautiful
everything. So I was really excited. And so what we do is we counsel women, and we take them back into an ultrasound room, and we do an ultrasound on them and just kind of talk to them and kind of get, feel where they are. And a lot of women were wanting an abortion. And I guess this is the first time I've actually, I protested outside of Planned Parenthood and prayed and everything. And this is the first time I actually been inside, face-to-face with women considering abortion, and very humbling experience. But the one thing that really was hard for me to understand was I had a 16-year-old young woman, and she had been coming, I think she was around 7 weeks pregnant, and we did an ultrasound on her, and we convinced her to come back again to see the baby. And that's kind of our way to get women to come back. It's free. We tell them that, the baby's heart might stop beating, and, we try to get them to come back rather than Planned Parenthood was actually next door to our pregnancy center. So they'd actually come into our building thinking we were Planned Parenthood, but we were very honest. We weren't like trying to trick them or anything. But she had an ultrasound, I guess, so she was 11 weeks, and this was the last week she had come to us. And she was 16. Her parents wanted her to have abortion. Her boyfriend did not. At first, she didn't want to see the ultrasound screen, and we respect that. But then she was curious, and she wanted to see her baby. And her baby was alive and well, kicking on the screen and everything. And I guess what was really hard for me that day was, even though she saw her baby, plain as day on that screen, and she even made the comment that it was kicking more, than last week, and, and she still was deciding to have the abortion, which was planned the next day at the Planned Parenthood next door. And I even told her that I, adopt her baby, and just trying to talk to her in a loving way. But she still had continued on with the abortion the next day. And I guess that was really hard for me, because I thought if people saw their baby, they would know it was a human life, and it would really struck them enough to not make that decision. But I guess that was I guess I wanted to ask you, how do you deal with something like that? I guess I didn't realize people were so disconnected from reality, and I think they're so pressured by fear that it's so strong that, they just, go the route of an abortion because of the fear and the lies. But how do you deal with that? That was really hard for me to handle. And I mean, I know, I guess it told me that prayer is the most important thing, because we need to change hearts and minds and how they actually see the truth.
Well, let me share with you just a couple of thoughts here, Sarah. First of all, I really want to thank you for the way in which you are working for the cause for life, and you certainly have a pro-life heart, and you're acting upon that sentiment that God's given to you, and you're allowing it to move you forward in positive ways. And I think that's absolutely wonderful and absolutely beautiful. And I praise and thank God for your fiat, for your surrender to His will for you, and He always gives us the joy of the apostolic work that we're in. That does not mean that we don't suffer in the midst of it. And here's one of the beautiful realities, that when we're suffering in the midst of apostolic work, just as when we're suffering in the midst of our lives, when we united to the cross, great grace comes. And that grace that comes gives us the interior fortitude and strength that we need to move forward. And so you move forward after this one very sad incident. Of course, you pray for her. You pray for this girl. You remember her. Maybe you I like to tuck people into my rosary. Maybe you dedicate one bead on your rosary every day to her. Maybe it's always the third bead of the fourth mystery or something. I don't know. And that's her bead. And every day you're praying for her, and you're praying for the fact that at one day in time she'll need to heal from that which she is given assent to. Now, that being said, remember one thing. We don't win every battle in a war. The idea is that we win the war. So we might lose a battle here and a battle there, a skirmish here, a skirmish there. But any trained soldier will tell you, you keep your eye on the bigger call. You keep your eye on the bigger vision. You keep your eye on the bigger goal. So you move forward, honey. You go forward knowing that you are in the hands of God and He's leading you. You don't know when one of those words that you've said to her will root in her heart and produce seed, and maybe she will be a post-abortive woman that does so much for the cause for life. You pray for that. God bless y'all. Bye-bye now.